Hey everyone, I've been in Japan for a month now. This is my first trip to Japan. I don't know the language. I want to emphasize I do not have a deep understanding of Japan by any means, so I just kind of want to say, just based on this 1 month, being in 6 cities Tokyo, Tsukuba, Sendai, Kyoto, Nagoya, and Hiroshima, kind of a list of the 10 things that I liked most about Japan or noticed. And right now we are by Nagoya Castle. This dates back to 1612. This is a nice park, a tourist attraction in Nagoya. And so I want to just start off with this list. So I have this some notes on my phone to read. So these aren't in any particular order, and I guess this is actually definitely one of the top ones. The convenience stores, which are wonderful. And I mean, this was even worth making its own YouTube short because they're great. They're open 24 hours. You can get all kinds of things from them. They're everywhere. You can get meals. You can get weird magazines to read. I mean, there's if you're bored at 2 a.m., I mean, it's absolutely perfect. Using cash. So the second point has to do with cash. And I know one of the things, I'm living in Poland right now, and some of this is going to be like contrast to Poland or some other places I've traveled, or, when I used to live in the United States. And so one of the problems I found, say, in Poland is if you want to use cash somewhere and you have like a bill that it doesn't even have to be that big of a bill, but nobody really wants to make change for you. So it's almost like these larger bills are almost useless. And in Japan, nobody cares. Like, you want to pay for some little thing with some giant thing and you need a bunch of change. Well, usually they'll put it in this like machine that counts it, and it just like spits out some exact amount. And these are at the convenience stores and everywhere, and it just works really, really well. It's kind of amazing. So the third point, and this is also, say, in like strong contrast to Poland, is that the trains are almost always on time. And I say almost always because I actually did run into one case where there was an hour and 40-minute delay. And I think it had to do with like the train hitting someone or something like that, which is, very unfortunate. But otherwise, it's like you could almost time the atomic clock to the trains. I mean, it's really crazy. So like I did something here that I never would have done in Poland. So, or, a lot of other countries as well, like Germany's pretty bad with this too. And so I was going all the way from Sendai to Kyoto to give a talk, and I wanted to spend an extra day in Sendai because I'm like, I don't know what's in this city. I'm just kind of curious. So I had 4 days in Sendai, and it was kind of a complicated thing because I had to go from Sendai to Tokyo, and if the train wasn't on time, I would miss the next train that connects to Kyoto. But no problem, it's Japan, right? And then I get to Kyoto with just enough time to make it to my math talk. I was speaking at the Dynamical Systems Seminar at Kyoto University. And like I said, in a lot of other places, I would never, ever consider this because, you can have like these 4-hour or longer delays sometimes, say in Poland. That's really not that uncommon. I'm told that this delay that I had, I think it was on the way from Kyoto to Nagoya. I'm just like losing track of, all the things I've done. That was considered quite rare. And let's take another look at the castle. Yeah, look at that bad boy over there. It dates back to 1612. And apparently there's something, there's a plaque around here. I'll read it in a second. I guess there's some sort of like knives or spears or something that like separate the two of these to prevent from invaders from coming. And it looks like there's a moat. I don't know what they put in the moat, like any sort of alligators or I don't know, whatever they put, but it's not full now. Maybe they drained it because of the weather. Yeah, Wall of Swords. The corridor connecting the main castle tower and the minor castle tower is mounted with a line of spearheads to thwart intruders. And they're in Japanese, so yeah, that's pretty cool. So let's go to the next point. Trains are on time. Oh yeah, the general feel of, oh my God, lots of people taking pictures because, this is this touristic sort of area, so we gotta dodge and not get in there too much. So yeah, what was I saying? The next point. So the general feel of this place, like, and I'm not exaggerating any, like it absolutely feels sometimes when you're walking around like you're either in some Super Nintendo game or some anime or something like that, and especially with all the like weird cutesy kawaii sort of things around and everything, it's like it's something else. And you even see like all this like Street Fighter 2 stuff around, and like it says "Welcome to Japan," and there's like Mario there and everything. So it's kind of nice. I like that actually, at least short term. Oh yeah, and this is something maybe particular for me. I know I'm very nocturnal. I have a lot of energy at night, and 0 in the morning. And there's stuff open 24 hours, like even some big stores. And this used to be the case like pre-COVID in the United States. There'd be like 24-hour Walmart, 24-hour Kroger, or whatever sort of grocery store. But I think they do it on a whole nother level in Japan. Yeah, also in Ukraine there was a lot of stuff like this too, but like a lot of Europe, it closes so early and it sucks. Like I hate that. I remember I loved grocery shopping at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. back in Columbus, Ohio. That's my thing. So it's these convenience stores in particular. So if you want to go and read some weird manga or some weird hentai or something at 7-Eleven, like I'm not joking, you go do this at 2 or 3 a.m. and it's no problem. And the bathrooms. So this is also another thing, like actually I would say is maybe one of my major gripes about a lot of places in Europe. So there are a lot of these, I would call them pay-to-pee countries. You want to go to the bathroom, you got to throw down money, and I mean, to me it's kind of insulting. Maybe this is just me being an American, but not only like do you have this, they're also just really hard to reach or find. Maybe after some hour you're not going to find any bathrooms at all. Japan, no worries. It's not. Japan is definitely not a pea in the bushes sort of country. So you can find bathrooms everywhere, and even like the toilets, they're crazy. Like they make sounds sometimes to like, if you don't want to be heard, or they warm toilet seats, or they have like a shower in it and everything, and it's something magical. I mean, I've heard about this before, but actually seeing it myself was pretty amazing. The other thing is involving water. So this is another thing it's good about the United States. It's really bad about Europe, is that you can get water wherever you want pretty much. There's water fountains. You go to the restaurant, you want some water, you get it, totally free, no problem. I remember in Poland, once taking my mom, it's like right after I moved to Poland, I was living in Warsaw, and I went to dinner with my mom. And the water I got cost almost as much as the actual meal. And I think it costs more than if you were to get something like a beer or something like this. So, I'm someone, I like to drink a lot of water. Why is this so much of a problem? So Japan does that very, very well. So next point, it's cheap. So this is something that actually really, really surprised me, because Japan has this reputation that it's like super expensive and like there's nothing you can do. And I don't know, some of these places I hear that are like supposed to be really expensive, like I go there and it turns out it's not that bad. Like Singapore was like this too. Like I ended up going to Singapore, and it was I didn't really spend that much money. It wasn't so bad. So great. I don't want to say everything in Japan is cheap. I'll get to that in like the negative side of it, but like the food especially, it's really, really not that bad. Maybe some of this is just my luck, because I was here as a math professor speaking at different universities and going around and had a little assistance. So like I was staying at these guest rooms for the university, and I was paying like $19 a night, even in like these big cities of more than 1 million. But even then, if you don't want to do that, let's say you don't have that connection, there's still these capsule hotels, and they're actually, at least the one I went to was pretty comfortable when it was in Hiroshima, and that's not going to be that much money. That's totally fine. And yeah, restaurants are fairly cheap, so it's not so bad. Like, I think when I was in Finland, for example, it was so much more expensive. Like, that was one of my biggest downsides, like in Finland, is just, there was no way to avoid just paying like a bunch of money. And I'm sure it's even worse if you go to like Norway or something. So next good thing, and this is something actually, it's really important to me. So I remember my first real trip like outside of the U.S. and Canada was to Austria. Let's just take a little pause in a minute and just see where we are, because I think we're re-entering the castle area. That's another building right there. So I don't think there's really like that much stuff here, but it's really just kind of a nice walk. So Yeah, so the next thing, what was I talking about? Is yeah, keeping its own identity. So I was, Austria was like, to me, I was almost 30 years old. I'd never been out of the US and Canada. And it was, I'd never seen like a tram before, for example. It was all like based on public transportation, and that was something new and exotic to me. But I was a bit disappointed because like their music, for example, was like largely the same as the music in the United States, and like they did have their own identity, but like a lot of it is very United States influenced. And I was actually really happy when I went to India. It's like 5 years ago I was there, I think. I went to India and I saw a lot of stuff, like they were playing music that was very clearly not from the US. They had like a whole bunch of stuff that really was their own unique identity, and that was great. And Japan as well. I mean, there is like a specific American influence, but I don't think it's yeah, I don't know. It's its own unique thing here, and I think that's really really nice. Um, and the last thing, last but not least, there's no particular order on this, has to do just with the beauty of the country. So you have beautiful nature, you have some beautiful like old buildings and stuff. I mean, I like the architecture on this is pretty cool. The nature, like some of the stuff I saw in Kyoto was just incredible. And also like they just really keep it clean. So like for example, I have not seen any graffiti anywhere. Some other places you see tons of graffiti, and like you might be mistaken to think that like I actually like this stuff because when I'm exploring like abandoned buildings, I'll point out one that has a lot of, clearly a lot of work went into. But generally speaking, I think it's shit. So that's a problem you see in some places. I remember this was really bad in Argentina when I was in Buenos Aires. So just everything was like tagged up, and it was all this like crappy low effort stuff. But it's still like you're defacing someone else's thing. It's not. I don't think it's a good thing for the most part, unless it's like some some really cool complex of abandoned buildings. Japan doesn't have that. Japan is like super super clean, and I think that's a good thing. So we are back around at Nagoya Castle. And I think I'm gonna just end it there. That's my list after being here a month. So I'll post the bad list as well. There are some downsides for sure. And I'll just say, usual like, comment, subscribe, share. All this helps the algorithm. And I am going back tomorrow night to Warsaw. So I'm out.